What's going on, guys? I'm back with another Rocky episode, and today we're going to be talking about not only my favorite film in the Rocky franchise, but my absolute number one favorite film of all time, and that will never change, Rocky 3. So as I've been doing in my last two reviews, I'm going to start off by nerding out on some of the behind-the-scenes antics that took place. So again, if you don't want to hear me yap, skip to this timestamp. For starters, Sylvester Stallone is an absolute unit in this film. Not to say he didn't care about his other roles outside of the Rocky trilogy at this point, but you can tell that this is his baby. He cares so much about this franchise to the point he took his body to the absolute breaking point to get into shape for this role. To start off, Stallone got slight reconstruction surgery on his face, so his eye wouldn't be as droopy as it was, along with, I believe he had something to do with his mouth, so he doesn't talk out of the side of his mouth as much. And even in the film, Paulie makes a comment about it when Rocky bails him out of jail, so I found that to be a pretty cool nugget of information. Secondly, as mentioned, Sly took his body to the absolute breaking point, cutting down to 2.8% body fat for this film, where his diet consisted of 10 egg whites and a single piece of toast a day, with the addition of a fruit every third day of the week. When it comes to his actual training, he would do a few mile jog in the morning along with 2 hours of weight training, then go off and do 18 rounds of sparring, and to cap it off, go off and do another lift with the inclusion of swimming. The next nugget of information that I found that was quite interesting pertained to Hulk Hogan. Vince McMahon actually fired Hogan from the WWF because he took this role, but 2 years later he got re-signed due to him being such a big star back in the day in the WWF. And the last piece of information that I found pretty interesting and became a trend later on in the Rocky franchise, Stallone told Mr. T to actually hit him as hard as he could during the audition. I really don't understand the significance in that, but I always found that to be funny that Sly got so engrossed in this role that he actually thought he was a fighter and could take a proper smack. This really intensifies in Rocky 4, but you'll have to wait to the next video to hear about that story. Now, with that out of the way, let's dive into Rocky 3. To me anyways, Rocky 3 stands as the epitome of a true revenge story, particularly in the realm of a sports film. It goes beyond the conventional revenge narrative, where a character reaches their peaks, falls hard, and then rises again. Instead, it delves into multiple layers, including proving to oneself once more that they can achieve greatness with the introduction of new challenges. The film also boasts compelling dramatic moments due to the profound relationship between Rocky and Mickey, and Rocky and Adrian as well as Rocky's work ethic metaphorically going into the dirt and rising back up, symbolized by Rocky being civilized, as they say in the movie. Rocky 3 somewhat deviates from the traditional Rocky theme of a character study format. While it undoubtedly provides great character development from Rocky and others, it also explores the broader narrative of a self-discovery and delivers a satisfying sports story. Now, some people do dismiss this film as cheesy or even a product of its own time, which is understandable to an extent. However, I find it grounded due to the filmmaker's skillful handling of the differing tones and their seamless integration. It retains the Rocky charm, if you will, while delivering emotionally resonant moments to make it arguably the most emotionally impacted film in the franchise. While some may find the wrestling scene with Hulk Hogan silly, it serves as a poignant reflection of Rocky's state at that moment and the shift in his mindset. The film's exposition is handled exceptionally well, contrasting with Rocky 2's prolonged opening set and the somewhat drawn-out first act. In contrast, Rocky 3 compresses the opening set, presenting it more as a highlight scene, followed by a subsequent scene that showcases Rocky's career trajectory, complemented by the inclusion of news articles that highlight his growth in popularity. This could have easily been mishandled, leading into filler scenes of Rocky doing commercials and whatnot, and prolonging the runtime. However, the montage style that they employed was incredibly effective for me. The final piece of the story that I truly appreciated was its seamless integration with the first two films, yet it felt like its own distinct new film. Moreover, it concluded in a new satisfying manner. If this were to be the final Rocky film, it would feel like a complete trilogy concluding in a perfect way. As for the character development, Sly, of course, shines bright as Rocky. He receives a lot of new layers to his character, which is commendable. Usually in a franchise's third film, what can be done is usually already established, unless they venture into unexplored territory that hasn't even been hinted at yet. For instance, I love the Rush Hour trilogy, and especially the third film, but neither character gets any significant characterization, and they introduce Lee's brother out of nowhere. It feels like a weak attempt to keep the franchise alive, but in this film, Rocky continues to evolve, making it a worthwhile investment. They effectively showcase Rocky's well-earned success, but when they peel back the layers, it seems like that his characterization was somewhat manufactured, along with his work ethic diminishing, leading him into self-discovery. As long as you enjoy the Rocky character, this should resonate with you. One criticism of the film is how Rocky transitions from being a dumbbell to seemingly being more educated with his words and becoming more grounded and vulnerable. However, at his core, he remains the same character with the signature humor and witty phrases. I appreciate this take because it raises the question of how much of the initial character style can be sustained before it becomes overused. Moving on to Adrian, she does somewhat get sidelined in this film, where her relationship with Rocky isn't as prominent throughout the entire runtime as it was in the first two installments. Nevertheless, she still receives great characterization, showcasing her role as a safe haven for Rocky and her ability to penetrate his defenses and connect with him on a deeper level. In my opinion, she is the most captivating scene in the entire film, the beach scene, which also gives me goosebumps regardless of how many times I've seen the film. It's truly a riveting scene. Burgess Meredith delivers a significant performance as Mickey in this installment as well. While we all know what happens and how his screen time is limited, his role is crucial in the shaping of the film's trajectory. Outside of the beach scene, his fate is the most impactful moment of the film, evoking tears in me every single trip. This pivotal scene sets the tone for the rest of the movie, which shifts from the lightheartedness of the first act to a more dramatic tone that I genuinely appreciated. While Paulie still provides laughs here and there, the scenes take a dramatic turn, leaving viewers on the edge of their seats at all times. Carl Weathers returns as Apollo Creed, who plays a pivotal role in this film as well, arguably being even more significant than in the first two installments, which is crazy to say because he's the main antagonist in the first two films. Their portrayal of his character is commendable, as they avoid stepping on Mickey's toes while still maintaining the iconic Mickey and Rocky bond in a new, fresh way. Their dynamic is exceptionally well crafted, and for the first time, viewers are likely to be pleasantly surprised by how they crafted it. They go through countless trials and tribulations and trials and errors while hunting for the result they're comfortable with, which makes for some of the best scenes of the film. Paulie, on the other hand, can be a problematic character, but in a peculiar way, he complements everyone around him. When everyone is pleasant and happy, he disrupts the harmony and becomes polarizing. Conversely, when everyone is focused, he bursts out with a joke, always doing something different from the crowd. This is precisely why I enjoy his character. The subtle layers they add to his character is also noteworthy. While they don't really introduce anything new, they highlight his lingering shadow over Rocky and his sour attitude coupled with his alcoholism. Despite his prickly nature, he remains Rocky's best friend, although he isn't too friendly, as Rocky says. Mr. T's portrayal as Clubber Lang is widely regarded as Rocky's greatest antagonist, and I can certainly agree with that sentiment on certain days. He's incredibly intense and hard-nosed, similar to how Apollo was in the second film, but he managed to elevate it a few notches, becoming extremely menacing and a brutal bruiser-style boxer. Apollo is a tactician who is skilled with his words, while Clubber is shorter with his words, but more stern in being a flat-footed, heavy-handed boxer. Now, when you call a spade, Mr. T isn't really the most talented actor, but in this film, he essentially portrays a heightened version of himself. If I'm being honest, this is probably his best role in his filmography, next to his role in the A-Team, which significantly launched his career in many respects. I also found it pretty cool that Sly basically gave him complete freedom to add his own color and charisma to the character, and it pays off really well. At his core, he's the ultimate bad guy that shows up at Rocky's every turn for the first half of the film until he gets what he wants. When it comes to the script, it's true that it may not be the strongest of the first three films. The first two are packed with numerous Rockyisms, if you will, and memorable lines, but this film certainly has its moments. The script allowed for many great character moments between all the characters, while still including many memorable lines from all the characters as well. Rocky, of course, has his moments. Apollo has the iconic "There is no tomorrow" line. Clubber Lang has the "pain" or "dead meat" line. Adrian has the beach scene. Paulie has his occasional gags, so everyone had a chance to shine. Speaking of memorable lines, in my opinion, Rocky III also had some of the best motivational moments, whether it was Apollo's "There is no tomorrow" line, or Rocky's "Nothing is real if you don't believe in who you are," or Adrian's scene at the beach. As far as the training and the boxing sequences go, this one was arguably the best it's been for my money. As I mentioned, it's more about the boxing in the first two films, so they incorporate more boxing sequences and numerous training montages. The first two films definitely embodied the sense of old school training, but this film had its unique, hard-nosed training style. From the workouts they did, to the design of the grimy, rundown gym, everything about it was reminiscent of old school training. The boxing sequences between Rocky and Clubber are arguably the most brutal between all three films. Clubber just wants to go out there and hurt people. He's never been in the distance before for a reason while being undefeated. Although the two fights don't go on for too long, they're some of the most entertaining because of the momentum shifts and the tactics that go on, as well as how they're choreographed. To enhance these scenes and sequences, I'd be remiss not to mention the score and the lovely soundtrack. When people think of Rocky, outside of the score, everyone always wants to bring up Survivor's Eye of the Tiger. That song truly gets the blood flowing and elevates these sequences extremely well. Without this song, this film would not be the same. Sly initially wanted to go with Queen's Another One Bites the Dust, but there was rumors that it was too expensive or the lead singer didn't want to be involved in the franchise. Then it was supposed to be Joe Esposito's You're the Best Around, but that fell through the cracks and was implemented in The Karate Kid, so Sly fell on the Eye of the Tiger. Now, every time anyone hears that tune, they always think of Rocky. In my opinion, without Rocky III, that melody would not be as popular as it is. Now, although I love this film, I definitely have my criticisms, and most of them stem from the characters and the technical aspects of the film. Regarding my character flaws, as I hinted at earlier, Rocky undergoes a significant transformation from a simple-minded individual to a rather intelligent one. While I personally can overlook this change, it's a substantial shift that could potentially alienate some viewers, as the appeal of Rocky lies in its unique characterization. Another issue I have, which I also give a bit of a pass to, is with Clubber Lang. His character lacks depth, and his motivations are primarily driven by a desire to become the champion. While this works for the film, I believe that some additional characterization would have enhanced his portrayal. Now, my next issue, I'm not sure if this was a sound issue or simply a delivery problem, but there are several instances where the dialogue is difficult to understand. Burgess Meredith's delivery is certainly distinctive, but there are some times where his words are unclear. Also, some of Mr. T's lines are particularly problematic, and of course Sly as well for obvious reasons. This brings me into my next issue, which is the ADR and post-production sound, similar to what put a damper on Rocky 2. There are instances where the dialogue and the actors' mouths don't really match up, and the post-production sound effects can make certain situations feel very overdramatic. In my last issue, which plays no harm to the film or the film's score, but being a fight fan, I had an issue with the game plan that Apollo talks about with Duke. When you're fighting a heavy-handed guy that hasn't been tested by the distance, trying to take the fight to him and banking on getting him out of there in 7-8 rounds isn't quite the smartest, especially when you have a guy like Rocky who has a granite chin and great cardio. Sure, Rocky isn't a tactician with pretty footwork or a brilliant jab, but I would think that he would try to tire out Clubber early, make him swing, make him miss, make him chase, and then come round 7-ish, take it to him. I guess in a sense that's what Rocky did, but he did it on his own merit. I don't know if that was a subtle nod to Mickey's initial game plan, because that's what Mickey had told Rocky before the first fight, but nevertheless, the job got done. Overall, I absolutely adore Rocky 3. Like A Bronx Tale, these two films will always be my top 2 favorite films of all time. Rocky 3 gets a very solid 7 out of 10 from me. Let me know what you think about Rocky 3 in the comments below, and stay tuned for Rocky 4. See you guys in the next one.